moldy sandwiches for Marines, 2 U.S. drones crash over Syria, and a reminder that uniforms and politics don't mix. We're back at it on The Briefing. Let's get after it. Welcome back to The Briefing. I'm Andrea Scott. If you're looking for more military headlines, please check us out on militarytimes.com and on social on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. In our top story this week, we have another reminder that uniforms and politics don't mix. For the latest, we go to Military Times Capitol Hill reporter Leo Shane.
A pair of Army reservists may have violated Defense Department rules against campaigning while in uniform with an appearance at the Democratic National Convention this week. On Tuesday night, 2 soldiers with the 9th Mission Support Command appeared behind the party delegation from American Samoa as they voiced their support for Joe Biden for president. Now, folks from American Samoa with the presentation said their goal was just to highlight the importance of the military in American Samoa and their proud military tradition. But Army leaders have said, no, this actually violates rules against campaigning while in uniform. Troops aren't supposed to appear in any sort of political ads, political events, especially things like the convention, if they're wearing a uniform. Earlier this summer, the Defense Department sent out its regular warning, cautioning troops not to get involved in any political campaigns in an unfair or unseemly way. Troops are allowed to participate in campaigns on their personal time outside of uniform, but they can't do anything that would cast any sort of assumption that the Defense Department prefers one candidate or one party or some sort of issue. But this has been a tricky issue for the Defense Department in recent years, especially with President Donald Trump. There's been a lot of questions about whether or not wearing a Make America Great Again hat constitutes as violating rules against what can be displayed while in uniform. Troops have asked the president to sign those hats at some events, again, raising some questions about whether or not that's proper. Earlier this summer, Joint Chiefs Chairman General Mark Milley appeared alongside President Trump during a pretty controversial photo op right outside the White House after protesters had been cleared. He received a lot of criticism for that, and people asked whether or not that constituted campaigning while in uniform, whether or not he violated these rules about bringing politics in.
As many of you saw the result of the photograph of me at Lafayette Square last week, that sparked a national debate about the role of the military in civil society. I should not have been there. My presence in that moment and in that environment created a perception of the military involved in domestic politics. As a commissioned, uniformed officer, it was a mistake that I have learned from, and I sincerely hope we all can learn from it.
Many outsiders have also questioned whether or not troops being required to appear at events where the president speaks constitutes the same thing. What's the difference between a convention appearance and when President Trump, President Obama, or President Bush, any number of presidents, have held official events where they talk to troops, have troops in the background, but don't necessarily talk about military issues or turn it into more of a political campaign. So this has been a constant headache for the Defense Department in recent years, and one that they're always trying to make sure they strike the balance of looking nonpartisan. Army officials haven't said what punishments these 2 reservists might face. There's still an ongoing review. Democratic Party officials have said that this was an oversight, and they hope that the controversy doesn't overshadow the real intention of the presentation, which again was to highlight American Samoa's proud military history.
First up in the headlines this week, Marines arriving in Okinawa, Japan took to social media after being served moldy sandwiches during their 2-week quarantine. Some Marines claim that they were served 2-year-old expired sandwiches for a period of 5 days. They also claim that they were told by their chain of command to, quote, eat around the mold. A Marine Corps spokesman said that the sandwiches were, quote, pre-packaged meals from a vendor that were previously identified for disposal. But some Marines are still claiming foul and say that they were threatened for exposing the conditions of the food on social media. We'll keep you updated as we confirm more on this completely rancid story. Next up, drones crash over Syria. The U.S. lost 2 drones over Syria last week after a mid-air collision. Images of burning aircraft crashing to the ground were posted to Twitter last Tuesday. There was speculation that the aircraft were Reaper hunter-killer drones, but defense officials have not yet confirmed the type of drones involved or what they were doing. Next up, a heartbreaking 911 call. Special agents from the Army Criminal Investigation Command are investigating the death of a 2-year-old Army child. The child died in late 2019 from injuries at the home of a babysitter in Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri. A 911 call obtained by Military Times gives more details into the November 15th death of the child, who died less than 10 days after an accident at the babysitter's home.
911, where's your emergency?
I need an ambulance sent to. We just had a 2-year-old fall down the stairs. She hit her head hard. She's limp and acting very funny.
It's the third known death of a military child in unauthorized daycare on base within the span of a year. Next up, toxic leadership. A former Army Brigadier General who was up for a second star intends to fight a demotion to Colonel over allegations of sexual misconduct from a subordinate enlisted soldier. Brigadier General David Hamilton retired this summer at the rank of Colonel. And over in the Air Force, a recently obtained Inspector General report shows 2-star Major General Dawn Dunlop was fired from her Pentagon office last year for repeatedly and publicly berating and belittling subordinates. Next up, keeping Europe safe from Russia. In our defense news segment, a closer look at the NATO air police mission in the Baltics that is keeping Europe safe from Russia.
This team is responding to an emergency. They're not going there by car. They're NATO's air police. Since 2014, different countries have helped patrol the Baltic airspace on Russia's doorstep. Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania have limited air defense capabilities, but those countries separate Russia from other NATO countries. Their airspace is valuable and often crossed.
What makes this mission so special is that a good number of the scramble mission that we fulfill over here in this region end up by intercepting Russian aircraft.
Analysts have seen increased violation of Baltic airspace since 2014, when Russians annexed Ukraine's Crimean Peninsula. In April, Belgian jets intercepted Russian fighters that had been conducting low passes over a U.S. Navy destroyer. And the mission goes well beyond air policing. It shows solidarity.
It's an important and significant demonstration of NATO's commitment safeguarding the skies over Europe, and it underlines perfectly the cohesion of the alliance.
For our outgoing rounds this week, we share some historic footage of the start of the United States Marine Corps Women's Reserve. Let's take a look.
Up to now, the girls have only been getting ready for the job that's to come. For in order to better understand the task that lies before them, the women Marines are shown the weapons with which their mates are fighting this war. They learn from actual demonstration that this is no storybook war of chocolate soldiers. It's the real thing, just as theirs is a real job. A job offering little glory and a great deal of hard work. These are the women of America who have picked up the gauntlet. Knowing full well that women have a stake in the world of tomorrow, the Lady Marines are lending a hand in the struggle of today. They've joined the service, and service means work. They go where they're sent and perform the job assigned to them, smartly, efficiently. There's no glamour to the job, but the reward that comes with the knowledge of a vital, all-important task well done. For them, calico and lace has been replaced by the proudest green in existence, the official uniform of the Marine Corps Women's Reserve.
This is our country, yours and mine. This is our war, and the victory too shall be ours. Here is your new fashion for victory, our women Marines.
That's all we have time for this week. Please visit us on militarytimes.com and our social pages on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And check us out on Army, Navy, Air Force, and Marine Corps Times for the latest news. I'm Andrea Scott. Have a great week.